Daydreamers. Yeah.
It's Dawn and Menace and my man Internet Space. And yeah, it's Chemical X. Follow us online at Chemical X Lab on Twitter, Instagram, and all that other bullshit. So yeah, man, let's get started. We're doing the top 5 reasons X-Men was good and the top 5 reasons X-Men sucked. I think it sucked. Space, you thought it was good. So I guess I'll get into my five real quick. So my number 5 is the shitty special effects. That's why I thought that movie sucked. The special effects looked like they weren't really finished. They looked like the shit was made for the TV almost. Like I said in the last podcast, I felt like this movie should have been straight to Netflix or straight to the Sci-Fi Channel. And one of those reasons why I thought that was because of the special effects, the subpar quality of those special effects. So yeah, I don't know what DeVry graduate student did that shit or who the fuck thought it was a good idea to put that shit on the big screen in HD, but they should really, you know, talk to their mother about that shit.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I think that they spent the majority of their of their effects budget. I think they spent that on the Quicksilver scene because
Mm-hmm.
that was impeccable. Um,
I'll talk to you about that later.
and I think that the bad CGI was mostly in the beginning, which was all shit that looked like it was reshoots anyway. But anyway, um, my number 5 reason why it was good is probably somewhere on your list of why it was bad, and it's Apocalypse. Apocalypse looked really weird. And Amber is trying to call us right
Yeah,
now.
she is. She called me
You might
too.
have to you might have to group me her and let her know what we're doing right now. But
Okay.
back to this. Sorry, listeners. But yeah, man. Apocalypse was actually one of the things that I liked about the film, in the terms of the fact that I felt like Oscar Isaac did a good job making him very eerie. Um, um, I did not like his powers because they were very kind of like what the fuck. Like he had the power to just like create suits for his horsemen. Like his whole like material make kind of just making material out of nothing. I didn't really get that. But the reason that I liked it, and I think one of the reasons why his place in the movie was good, was that even though you can't see Oscar Isaac, you can barely tell he has anything to do with it because you can't really see him under all the makeup and everything. I just think that he was really good. I think what they did with the character's voice made it very eerie, and what I liked about it is that he played a part in the origin of different characters. I mean, it was like little cheap stuff, but for whatever reason, I liked that, Storm got her hair color from him and her increased powers from him. I liked that Angel became Archangel based on him, even though metal wings are ridiculous, because you would not be able to fly with them. Um, I like I like that he showed Magneto another level of his powers. That I liked. And when I saw the trailer for the movie and I saw all the, um, weapons of mass destruction being shot off all at once, I thought for sure that they were going to be coming back down on Earth. But to see that he just shot him up in the sky just to be like, okay, you guys don't have a way to kind of like just destroy me with weapons. I liked that. So I was happy with Apocalypse role in the movie, and that's my number 5 reason why it was actually good.
That's cool, man. My, for Apocalypse, I didn't like him that much. He kept looking like Ivan Ooze to me. As a villain, he was kind of cool. I thought he was kind of badass, but I don't know if that was because of Apocalypse, how they wrote the character, or if that was because of Oscar Isaac. He was kind of like weird, like his powers, like you said, were what the fuck. Like he just put somebody in a wall. Like at one point, he was just in a wall. I was like, what the fuck? Like it was weird.
Yeah.
And then, so my number 4 reasons why that movie sucked is like your Quicksilver scene. It was so unpractical and unrealistic. even by science fiction and comic book standards, that shit was retarded. Like just the fact like he just like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 opening scene, how that was just so ridiculous. How they're on a plane and they're uploading shit in the 80s when Wi-Fi was pretty much non-existent. They're uploading shit at like cable speeds upside down as the plane is crashing. But anyway, this type of shit right here, he's like Quicksilver. He's moving super fast, but even though he's super fast and slows time down when he's moving, he can go even faster than that. And when he slows down, like the time freezes, but the explosions keep coming towards him. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not consistent with like shows like The Flash, where everything should be slowed down, not just one part of the world should be slowed down. Everything should be slowed down. I don't know if I'm explaining this shit right. It's just the science, the fake science behind it just doesn't seem right. It just seems a little too perfect and unrealistic to me. And I didn't like that scene. It
My
was very
quick
cartoony.
rebuttal to that, um, when Norman starts to move again is usually when he moves away from
Hello?
the scene. So, can you hear me?
You're cutting out a little. Can you say it again?
Yeah, I was saying that it seems like the closer he is to something, the slower it moves because the faster he's moving. But the further away he is from something, the fast it starts to move fast again. So like every time he leaves a spot to like save some people and he comes back, the fire has moved more. I think that makes sense. But anyway, that's just my quick rebuttal. But the number 4 reason why I liked it was the X-Men team. I like the actors that were playing the new X-Men. I really liked what Scott, what the kid brought to the table who was playing Scott. I always thought Cyclops was lame back in my watching the cartoons on Saturday morning days. But he made Scott kind of cool, but then also he was so cool that it made me be like, I never remember Scott being like that type of character. But you see his brother die, and it gives you reason to see why he becomes more serious. And you can see his leadership, how even though, you know, he's kind of like happy-go-lucky, people seem to want to follow him. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that vibe of it, and I like the actors that they have playing these new people. I know Amber was upset with the lighter skinned Storm, but I like the girl who played her. To me, she looked like Storm, just lighter skin. So I feel like this movie is really an origin story for the next trilogy. More so than it is the third installment of whatever the fuck it is that they're doing. When I came away from it, it made me feel like Days of Future Past was unnecessary. Like, honestly, to me, this felt like movie 1 of a trilogy. You know what I mean? And if that was the case, I would be excited for the next 2, although because it's actually the third installment of a trilogy, there's actually going to be 3 more. But that's if they can get the people coming. But yeah, that was my number 4 reason.
Yeah, I don't really have a rebuttal for that. I like the team aspect too. I love how this X-Men team was pretty much the one of the best in my opinion as far as the team, as far as the characters in the movie, but how they put the movie together and put the characters together, I think was a problem. But my number 3 reasons why this movie wasn't that good were the uneventful action scenes. Everything from the beginning to like when they're in that pyramid to the Nightcrawler scene with Mystique to the best scene I liked was the Cyclops scene where he's like in the bathroom and like blows off like half the bathroom and shit. That was cool. But like the fighting scenes I just did not get with. They were uneventful to me. They were pretty boring. And compared to the scenes in like something like Civil War, it was nothing. Those scenes were horrible. So that's my number 3.
Oh yeah, you know what I thought was interesting is in Days of Future Past, the character that's Cyclops' brother, which I never knew Cyclops had a brother, first
Me
and
neither.
foremost. And I don't know if they made that up or if that's actually in the lore, but anyway, he was very destructive, you know. And I remember when he was using his powers, I was like, man, like this guy reminds me of Cyclops, only it's coming through his chest and shit like that.
Right,
And man,
Havoc. Well, yeah, Havoc is his brother, right? I don't even know if
okay,
that's his brother or not.
Okay, yeah, I didn't
I,
know if that was his.
let
I
me,
didn't know that was his brother. But really, what I say all that to say is that as destructive as he was in Days of Future Past, and how destructive he was in the short scene where he uses his powers in this movie, when you see Cyclops use his powers, you really start to. I had never seen anything like that. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
That really made me feel like, okay, that Cyclops is truly a bad motherfucker, because even in the first trilogy when they used him, like there's that scene where he's kind of just like hitting pigeons. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like you would with like a shotgun and just like boom, 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 knocking them down. And I always thought like he just shoots like these weak ass lasers out of his eyes. But in
right,
this movie, the he doesn't have it in control, and it like really shows you how powerful that shit is, because it's like whenever it's like Cyclops using his eyes is like their trump card for shit that they can't handle. And that
right,
made me this movie really made me be like, damn, like Cyclops actually is worth a damn. I
right.
never thought he
They
was.
actually did that with this movie, and the other ones they kind of didn't use him as much. And Havoc is his older brother, by the way. I forgot about that shit, but that's his older brother. And also, in the Last Stand, you kind of see the full range of his powers too. When Phoenix takes like his glasses off or some shit like that, and he opens his eyes or some shit. I don't know. It's some scene in that movie. Anyway, fuck that movie.
Okay, yeah. Now number three for me is Magneto. I thought Magneto was great in this movie. I feel like, Bryan Singer is driving me crazy with the Cerebro thing. It's just too much. It's the plot of every movie. It
Yeah,
moves the plot of every movie. It's the thing that the bad guys use against Professor X in every single movie. And the whole like, in every single movie that seriously, every single movie that Bryan Singer has directed without exception, um um, Professor X is relying heavily on Cerebro for some reason, and somebody is using that against him, to like find another mutant or control other mutants. And Magneto fucks a lot of shit up, like kills a bunch of people, and then they make up at the end, and it's kind of getting kind of lame. And I thought that this movie wasn't going to end on that. I thought that it would finally be the movie that ends on them having real conflict, where they're on other ends of a discussion and they stay that way,
right.
for like multiple movies, but they just keep becoming friends at the end of these movies. But regardless of me saying that, I need to talk about the good things about it, because that's really the past movies. This movie still played into that, but I the I feel like the buzzword that goes around the internet that people use to bring these movies down is motivation, and I don't think people really understand that word. Because you don't understand somebody's motivation doesn't mean that the movie didn't give them one. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's what people need to start realizing. Just say that you didn't understand what the motivation was. Don't say that they didn't give them motivation, unless you can truly say that a guy just like materialized from the sky and was like, I'm going to kill everybody, and never said why. Magneto has a very clear motivation in this movie, and I thought that was awesome. And the scene where his wife and his child die, it was so powerful to me. I mean, everything about the scene was done well. I mean, the angst that they feel in the house when they can't find a daughter, when they come outside and the police have taken off all the metal, and just the fear and tension that you can feel there. And then when you see that the daughter has some powers, because they say, I won't let you take them, and the birds start coming out, and the fact that the death isn't purposeful. It's like the guy just like is looking at the birds and then accidentally releases his bow, and it killed the family, and then he
Right.
holds them in his arm and he's like, my babies. It was like, oh man, I felt that emotion. And then he uses the locket or whatever you call those things, to kill all those guys. And then the intent that he takes with him when he goes back to the steel factory, because somebody ratted him out, which resulted in his family being killed. I mean, Jesus, man, I was mad that that scene ended on um what is his name, Apocalypse, killing those guys, because I wanted to see Magneto fuck some shit up. You know
Me
what I mean?
too.
So
I
I,
did. I
I
did
really,
too.
I really love Magneto in this movie.
Yeah. My number two is I hate that Jennifer Lawrence didn't really be in her fucking costume. That's my number 2. Her and
Jennifer
everybody
Lawrence.
else they didn't wear no fucking costume for real. It's like they just look like regular ass people who happen to have superpowers, just like all the other X-Men movies. But yeah, that's my number 2.
Okay. Um, yeah, I feel you. I think the flight suit thing was very shoehorned. Um, and it's like flight suits that just happened to fit all of them. That was so stupid. But anyway, my number 2 thing is the Wolverine scene, and I feel like as much people who probably rolled their eyes like, oh, God, like
Hello.
I'm not from the internet. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. You're cutting out a little bit.
Okay, sorry about that. It was pointed out to me watching something on the internet today that Day of the Future Past ended with Stryker pulling out Wolverine's body from under the sea, but the eyes flashing to show you that it was actually Jennifer Lawrence or Mystique.
Right.
But however, in this movie, Stryker actually has Wolverine's body to make him into Weapon X. So I don't think that was a continuity issue. If it ends with Stryker actually having a body and that not being Mystique, then it makes all the sense in the world. But that's not how it ended. So I have to say that so that people in the comments don't fucking destroy me. But still, regardless of that, let's just pretend. And in this movie, I was able to pretend that like that. Let's just pretend that the first trilogy did not exist, and this movie was the first time that we saw Wolverine. You could even give me Days of Future Past because it would have been future Wolverine going back into the past. So let's just say that this is the first time we saw Wolverine as Weapon X. I almost got up and cheered because that was the Wolverine that I felt like I have not seen depicted in an X-Men movie, not one time. Definitely not in Origins and not in the standalone film they had a couple years ago. That scene was amazing. We got to see some blood splatter. We got to see some angriness. I mean, he was unkept. And just to get already have it established of Jean Grey giving him some memories back, because we all know that he has like a little love thing for Jean Grey that he has to deal with, being that Cyclops is already with her. I love that fucking scene. So that's my second thing.
Yeah, my number 1 is just a bad plot and story. I'm sorry. This is an all-star cast. It comes together for an anticlimactic, I should say, end to a second X-Men trilogy. That's what this is. Yeah, all these great characters, great actors, great people, great costumes for the most. Well, Psylocke's costume, and then it's just nothing. It's just it's this old mutant's going to take over the world, and he's going to recruit, of course, fucking Magneto to fight, of course, Professor X, and have all these little kids who are recast as the fucking X-Men who they don't really use their powers that much. It's just I didn't like it. It's a bad plot, bad movie, all over the place. But I just like it because it's X-Men. If it wasn't X-Men, if that was just some new shit, if that was like Mystery Men 2, I would I would just shit on that movie all day long. That's my number 1.
All right, so I'll keep it short and simple as I possibly can because I wrote this all out. My number 1 reason that I actually like the film is the era that we're going into. I don't know, man. As a kid that grew up on a Saturday morning X-Men cartoon, with that being the reason why I fell in love with X-Men, I mean, I didn't have any real complaints. Plot, not all the way there. However, 2 things that I've been waiting to see ever since an X-Men movie was announced, literally ever since, starting with the first one, I've been waiting to see Apocalypse, the Sentinels. You know what I mean? That's the storyline that I grew up with. The X-Men always always seemingly, threatened by, Sentinels and the almighty Apocalypse. That was a storyline that I was waiting to see, and it's a storyline that I was able to have served to me. And as janky as the plot was, you also these are the characters I was waiting to see, and I feel like they were represented the best. When I first saw Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, I wasn't impressed. But Hugh Jackman now as Wolverine, now to me is Wolverine. And like I said, I loved his scene. I loved Quicksilver. I love Storm. Jubilee looks like Jubilee, and I like that she didn't do anything because she sucks, but she's just kind of nice to like have around and look at. Jean Grey looks like Jean Grey to me, getting a little bit of Phoenix. That was awesome. Having, Nightcrawler not just as a secondary character, but clearly about to be a part of the normal team. I mean, Beast. I mean, this is the Saturday morning cartoon team that I grew up with, and knowing that Gambit and a better why can't I think of her name? Let me find it. I know I wrote it down. Man, I hate when this happens. This is because we shoot this shit so late that my mind goes man, I cannot find it. I actually have notes here. Shit. What's Gambit's love interest name? I cannot think of this bitch name right now.
Fuck if I know.
Oh my god, man. This is so crazy. What is her name? Rogue. Okay. Yeah,
Rogue.
Just knowing that Gambit and Rogue is on the way, that means that the Saturday morning cartoon X-Men that I grew up with, not the Iceman and the dude who manipulates fire and Toad, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck was all of that? You know what I mean? And
yeah, Iceman's supposed to be with Shadowcat. Kitty Pryde.
And I don't even know who that is. So fuck all of them. Kitty Pryde, fuck them. I mean, to get Jean Grey, Storm, Beast, Cyclops, with Gambit on the way, Rogue on the way, where this was an origin story to me, and they're going into the era that I grew up with. We get at the end of the movie, we see the Sentinels come into it. You know what I mean? Who knows? Apocalypse might not actually be dead. I hope he isn't. You know what I mean? That to me, this movie was the X-Men that I kind of was always waiting for. So I actually enjoyed it, and the plot was dumb, but it was Saturday morning cartoon dumb to me. It was a bunch of X-Men and a bunch of mutants just getting all together and fighting each other. And it's like, that's all I ever wanted to fucking see. So I was happy, man. I'm sorry, but I was happy with it.
I ain't mad at you, player. So, guys, what do you guys think? Was X-Men good? Was it bad? Let us know in the comments. You can rip us to shreds for not knowing these characters' names, because we really don't give a fuck like that. We just like comics, probably not as much as y'all niggas. So follow us online.
Saturday morning cartoons. I can't even pretend. I like some comics, but y'all can rip me apart if you want to. But I know my Saturday morning cartoons, so don't come at me with that. I don't know what might have happened in the comic, but I know what happened in them cartoons, man. So fuck y'all.
All right, we out.
Peace.
Time and how no child should have to live up to that kind of legacy. Wow, this sounds interesting. Kind of sounds like he's a little bitch, honestly. Like Harry had to go through all this shit, and now Albus is like, my dad was Harry Potter. You don't know what it's like.
He was too fucking cool for me. I can't. How can I compete with that shit?
Yeah, he sounds like a bitch, actually.
It's so hard not to go to sleep now because we're talking about Harry Potter. Less.
Daydreamers.